All right, we are live. We're back, party people. Once again, it's Sunny Ray, the Sunny Ray Show. Thanks to our sponsors, Raz Rocket. Today, I'm joined by Josh. Josh, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well. I am well. I'm well. Maybe so. I'd like to kick off by just telling people a little bit about the company, like a one or two lines, just so they know what's coming, and then maybe we can start with your backstory.
Sure. So my name is Josh. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, the United States. I'm a dad. I got two daughters, one finishing up high school, one at the University of Alabama in college. Um, I have been in the workforce for a little over 30 years. And I started working for the family business. It was a manufacturing business, working for my dad. And I decided fairly quickly it'd be better to have a dad than a boss because it didn't seem we could have both. So I chose dad and I left that company and went to work in radio sales. A friend of mine recommended it because his dad was in media and that's what he was doing. And he was a fraternity brother. So we started doing that together and I enjoyed that for a few years. And as I moved from organization and up in title and pay, I eventually felt constrained because I was always trying to romanticize the product and try to figure out ideas I had to be around selling the product I sold. The ideas couldn't just be ideas; they had to somehow dovetail into a product sell. But as my ideas and my experience got broader, they no longer fit with a single product or suite of products to sell. So I became an ad agency. I started an advertising agency. I did that for a few years and we were successful to some extent. I didn't really know what I was doing because it turns out all the tricks, tips, and techniques I use to sell advertising is not how advertising works, it's how you sell it.
Hmm.
So I was really big into the why to use it and not really well versed on how to use it. So you can't do that when you're an ad agency because you have a few clients that you're trying to super serve to actually move the needle, not move the needle for the media organization to make the sales presence club. It's two very different things. But you don't realize that when you're younger. You think you're in advertising, but you're not. You're in advertising sales, and that's very, very different. It looks more like pharmaceutical sales than it does advertising. So I did what I call the Wilburn Orville Wright approach, which is you just learn. You just dig in and you learn. And I learned that advertising is a subset of marketing, and marketing is actually the study of consumer behavior, which is actually human behavior at scale. So I had to learn neuroscience and psychology, and luckily I was, right at the edge of Google and technology, making the world's information much easier and faster. Right. I remember a thing that said you could find in at the time 7 minutes what it would take 70 years to find by going to all the libraries back in the early 1900s, just 100 years before. And now it's not even 7 seconds, right? It's zero point 0.7 seconds. I can ask Perplexity a question and get served that information. But back then I had to apply some elbow grease to the problem, and I did. And it allowed me to internalize it and understand it. And I started to ideate on it. And as we got better and better at what we did, we got solicited by higher and higher levels of media at higher level titles. And one day, a vice president of a large media company was in town from New York, and he said, "Hey, can we get together? I'd like to understand why you don't use our medium for your clients. Can I take you to lunch?" So we went to lunch, and over lunch, I explained to him the difference between why to buy and how to use from my perspective. Because he said, "It sounds like you know everything about our product more than our own salespeople, and you love it." I said, "I do." He goes, "Then why don't you buy it?" I said, "Because I'm not ready to use it yet. I haven't had the idea about how to apply it." And I explained to him what that meant. And he sat there quietly. And I thought he was going to get up and leave and stiff me with the check. But instead, he paid for it. And he said, "I think you're right. I don't think we know how to use it. I think that's why our attrition is so high. 3 out of every 10 clients go away. I think it doesn't work." And they say, "I tried it and it didn't work. Could you help us fix that?" I said, I don't know. He said, "What if I give you a group to train and we'll see how it goes? Create a little side company and I'll let you teach them what you know. We'll see how it works." So I created this thing called the Academy of Marketing. It was a domain that was available, theacademyofmarketing.com. And I wrote a curriculum and I trained four of their salespeople. And we just kind of played it by ear. And it turned out I really liked it. And I kind of was good at it. And a year later, I was Comcast NBC Universal's largest training vendor. And then after that, it became Cox and NPR and CBS. So I did that for about 10 years. And then, due to reorganizations, economic downturns in 2007, 8, I um, invested back in the ad agency, at which point now the Academy of Marketing was also an advertising agency. So our clients were media companies, but we also had what we called case studies or use cases where we would actually apply what we were talking about in the classes about how marketing works. We'd actually apply it to real world companies wanting to grow their business through marketing. So when somebody in the class would raise their hand and go, "Can you give me an example?" I'd say, "Absolutely." And we would charge those companies that were our use cases a fraction of what an ad agency would charge them because we were actually making money from the media companies using that content to teach. So I grew that business when I saw the training part becoming less interesting. Also, the travel was killing me. I had young daughters at the time. I mean, sub 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. And I was flying every week, 30, 35 weeks a year. And to make it fit so that they would miss dad and I would miss them, I would do it in 24 hours. I would do day trips to California if that's where the training was. I would fly out on the last flight after I put them to bed. If I was flying West Coast, I'd make up the time. I'd go to sleep. I'd sleep 4 hours. I'd wake up. I'd work out. I'd be on stage doing trainings for 6 to 10 hours. I'd run back to the airport, pass out on the plane, fly home, put them back to bed. So to them, I was only gone during the day, no matter where I was, Montreal, Los Angeles, it didn't matter. And that'll exhaust you. And so I built up the other side of the business, and then eventually that's become limiting, just marketing itself. And I've now decided that here over 50, I would like to do something a little bit more important than just marketing. Um, I say we have $1 trillion problems in need of $1 billion solutions. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help solve some very real world problems that we have that are coming. Some people get it. I don't think a lot of people do. And that doesn't mean I'm smarter. It just means I've met people who are touching those areas enough that I see them. Somebody gave me the example recently of somebody in February of 2020 talking about COVID looked like a loon to everybody until May of 2020. I distinctly remember the conversation talking about how the airports were going to shut down and the gym was going to shut down. And people are like, "You're crazy," until the day they got the email. And then that was what, a year to 18 months, depending on where you were. Very quickly, it shifts from lunacy to your new reality. And that's where we're at.
So talk about that. What is this asymmetry, this problem, this fundamental that most people are getting wrong that you see an opportunity in?
Well, yeah, I mean, the opportunity, both from a business standpoint and just from a macro standpoint, is we've got a real problem. We have a disallocated sales force. So we have a lot of people who were told, started by the greatest generation and propagated forward, that the American dream was to go to college, get a degree, and get a good job. Well, those jobs are gone. They're not gone, like in a macroeconomic setting yet. So it's hard to get your head around, just like COVID in February 2020 versus May of 2020. Like, what are you talking about? I'm still at the gym. That's way over there in Japan. Then that's way over there in Seattle. And that's way over there in Chicago. Then that's way over there in New York. Now it's here in Atlanta. Right? It's coming. Everybody sees it coming and they read the headlines. But then we shut down and we drive carpool or we put our kids to bed or we are busy spilling coffee on our lap. And that's what bothers us today. But we see the headlines. We just cannot internalize it. It's too big to internalize. Like global warming. We all know something's going on. We don't know what to do about it. And so we continue with our daily lives, even though it would require a shift in everybody's daily life to actually do something about it. But we don't. It's too much. So we all know that somebody, and I've actually met with deans of several large universities about this. Everybody knows that there will be no jobs for the freshmen and sophomores with CPA majors. There will be no certified public accountants in 2029. There will be master CPAs overseeing a team of AI bots, but there will not be a master CPA overseeing a team of CPAs. That's gone. I have a friend that owns a CPA firm. They're no longer hiring. They instead acquired a tool that they're training, and the cost is dropping like a rock. So if you wait another year to acquire the tool, it costs you next to nothing, right? Over the weekend, I built an app to help a media sales team build optimized media schedules, analyze it in real time for Google Analytics, and optimize their Google My Business profiles. I did it in 3 hours on my own. I've never built an app before in my life. I built the whole app, start to finish. So I don't need the engineers. So that's not 100% baked yet, but it's exponentially happening. Murphy's law. It's happening at an accelerated rate. So you've got this enormous number of people who have college debt because college never been more expensive, but less certainty in the job for jobs that don't exist. That were the good jobs to have just a decade ago. That was the good job. You're always going to have a job if you're a CPA. You might not make a fortune, but it'd be a good job. Now the job doesn't exist. On the other end of the spectrum, we have the trades. And the trades were short 2.5 million jobs right now. So the trades are HVAC technicians, plumbers, etc. The jobs that we were convinced weren't the sexy, cool job, the blue collar jobs. The thing is, they now make over $100,000 a year. They pay you to go to school because there's a such short supply and demand, right? So you come out with no college debt. You can make 100,000 a year. These, by the way, become the entrepreneurs of tomorrow, running real businesses that people need, or at least AI resistant. I don't think anything's quite AI proof, but AI resistant. We have to reallocate the workforce to once again realize those jobs are good, sexy, cool. They have flexible hours. Your wife gets it. She's in still has a white collar job and she moves. You don't have to worry about, well, I don't know, my career's here. You can pick that career up and move anywhere you want. Have a job in an hour. That's how in short supply it is. That's a wonderful position to be in. But there's 2.5 million of those jobs open that can't be filled. Meanwhile, we continue to flood the universities, run up college debt, which is a whole nother bubble that's about to burst. We have macro issues. And if somebody doesn't try to solve them, there is no entrepreneurship that will overcome that. There is no value creation that will overcome that. There's no app for that.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. This is, I mean, this is one of the main narratives, right? That which is that AI is going to take all our jobs. So, what are you doing to help us become more AI resistant, or
Well, I'll give you an example. So I can only do what I can do. And, one of the things that Tony Robbins and Simon Sinek, all those guys say that I used to hate, but now I get it. They go, don't make the world's problems your own. And to me, I kept thinking, well, thank God George Washington and Thomas Jefferson didn't think that. These were very wealthy men who could have just lived their lives. They were entrepreneurs of the day who had plenty of money. George Washington was the wealthiest American in the country at the time of the Revolutionary War. Very few people know that. They knew he was wealthy. He was the wealthiest person in America. And then he funded the Continental Army by himself for a whole year because he couldn't get boots. So he just bought them boots with his money by himself. It's a private army, basically. So thank God they didn't think I should make the world's problems my own. But I do think you can make a couple of the problems, not all the problems, but a problem or two. So this is the problem I'm focused on. So I'll give you a real world example. So I'm trying to develop a co-op starting with the trades, one category within the trades at a time. I'm starting with HVAC because that's sort of the bedrock of the trades. Try getting work done without heating and air conditioning. It's dangerous in the winter. In the summer, it's miserable. By the way, HVAC is needed to cool the data centers. It's needed for kids to go to school. You can't go to school in the heat. In fact, if the air conditioner breaks down, even in New York, they shut the school down because it's untenable. As we get hotter, we have to find ways to keep ourselves cool. Now, we need to find ways to do that sustainably, but we still need ways to keep it cool, comfortable. All right. So these are bedrock industries, and HVAC is the cornerstone of that bedrock. So HVAC companies, though, have been bought up by PE over time. These are big companies. It's not just a local contractor. A local contractor is probably part of a 50 network group that's owned by a private equity firm out of Canada, for example. So they have big systems. The systems, though, because they've integrated 50 local contractors, are dated, antiquated legacy systems. They employ tons of $50,000 to $75,000 admin to talk to the systems that make one part of the business automated, but that system doesn't talk to another system that's automated. And so you have this manual thing in the middle. So what I'm doing is developing platforms that allow HVAC companies at scale to automate their internal back-end office processes that anybody could do, so they can spend that money on hiring and making it unbelievably attractive to hire more tech workers in the field that only trained people can do and AI cannot. So look, we can't stop the AI thing at this point. It's out. The horse has left the barn. I can shut the doors, but it doesn't matter. So let's use the AI to make companies more efficient and stronger, strengthen their P&L, reallocate, instead of putting it to the bottom line, let's reallocate those funds into high paying jobs that humans can do and need to do, that will give them careers for life and actually bolster the US economy. So there are whole industries built around the trades. Those industries will suffer if the trades suffer. Everything from advertising, the business I'm in, 14% of local advertising revenue is generated by home service companies, plumbers, electricians. You see the ads for it. Imagine if they go away. Well, the ad industries don't exist on enough margin to lose 14% of their business. They'll go under. It's the same thinking about the automotive business in 2007 and 8 when you had cash for clunkers. It wasn't to get the cars off the car dealerships to make the car dealerships more successful. That was like the near term result. But the reason they did it was, if the automotive industry shuts down, everything from manufacturing to the employees to the grocery stores they serve to all the sub industries that serve it, you got a problem. The American economy has a problem. The worker at Moe's burrito place will feel it.
Interesting times. Interesting times to be alive. My daughter came home the other day with a straight A report card.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I was like really proud of her, but not gonna lie, when I look out into the future, I'm not exactly sure how to even prepare, because I distinctly remember a couple of years ago the answer was a definitive learn to program.
Right?
Figure that
MIS
stuff out.
degrees and be an engineer. So I
Right?
work with an AI company that is
Mhm.
no longer hiring. They were hiring like crazy just 1 year ago, entry level coders. Now they
Yeah.
wanted the best they could get, but they were still entry level, which is a high paid position, but it's entry level. They told me Friday they're no longer hiring entry level. They're only hiring senior who can work with the AI, because the AI coders are better than the coders they can hire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's scary. I agree. Obviously terrifying. But then the question is like, again, what? Oh, I think I lost you, Josh.
Yep, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Well, the question is, what do we do
How's
about
that?
it? Josh, I feel like we're almost kind of just getting warmed up. I do have I have a hard stop in a minute. I just realized, surprising how
Yeah.
fast the clock ran by. But any closing remarks? Where can people learn more about the Academy of Marketing? I know you consult with some of the biggest organizations in the world. How do people get in touch with you if they want to learn about your new business and get
Yeah, so
more
I'll
information?
say two things. Number one, I'd love to jump on again with you anytime. I think we
Yeah,
could
that'll be
cover a lot
fun.
of good ground and talk more
Hmm.
about tactical applications to business, because all we're talking about is at a macro scale, but you do it at a micro scale. You see an opportunity and you go after it. And that's what entrepreneurship is. Now, I see bigger opportunities because I'm older and I've been to the rodeo enough times, but it doesn't really matter. If you can create value, you're going to be in good shape. I just see creating value at a macro level. $1 billion solutions means, big money. That's a lot. You make you rich. Solving $1 trillion problems that have to be solved, or none of us are going to be rich or have anything. Right? You should never do the right things to make money. You make money when you do the right things. And I didn't know that for most of my career. And now I do. So if I do the right things to help industries, to help the economy, I'm going to make plenty of money. I'm not worried about it. So if you want to know more, I actually just started a new company specifically for this purpose called Good Company. Good Company, exactly the way it sounds, goodcompany.inc. You can email me at josh@goodcompany.inc to learn more. The site will be up soon, but all it is dedicated to solving $1 trillion problems with $1 billion solutions.
I
That's
like
it.
the sound of that. I like the sound of that. Cool. Well, Josh, thank you for your time, and thank you all for
Thank you,
checking
man.
in. Yeah. Okay. Cheers. Bye bye. Until next time.
See you, buddy. Bye bye.
All right. That brings